Hi, this is John Patrick Hickey. I want to welcome you to our talk on the values of success minded people. Now, it's important to understand that these 12 values we're going to be discussing are not they don't require any talent, they don't require any skills, you don't have to research them, that you don't have to go to school and get a degree for them. These are values that we build in ourselves. They're not something that you're born with, they're something that you learn as you go along, but they don't take special talent. These values apply to every human being, and they also are things that are capable for every human being. So I want you to be able to look at these so that you can embrace them. And the first of these values is a thing called honesty. Now, honesty is more than knowing that you're not going to steal money out of the till or that you're not going to commit a crime. When we look at honesty, you see things, from these big corruption points of view, and naturally so. I mean, we live in a time and a society that honesty, true honesty, is very difficult to find sometimes, especially amongst those who you would think would be the most honest among us. But we find people who are loose with the truth, people who think nothing of doing things for their own gain, uh, people who are willing to take what doesn't belong to them or manipulate things for their advantage or for the advantage of other people. This isn't what being honest is all about. But even then, I want to take honesty a little bit deeper. Honesty is when people can depend on you to do what is right, that they know that when you say something, it's going to be true, that it's something that they can depend on, that they can look to you and know that you're not only going to do what you say, but what you say can be depended upon, that you're somebody who will fulfill the promises that you make to them, and you don't make promises lightly. See, that's the problem. We look at people and say, well, they don't fulfill their promises. Well, the reason they do is they don't fulfill those promises is they make them far too lightly. And that's not what we should be doing. We should really look at anything. I don't care if it's a big promise or a little promise. You should look at everything from a perspective of how am I going to fulfill this? Not if I am going to fulfill this. How am I going to fulfill this? Because if there is an if involved, then don't make the promise at all. Because it's better to not promise and then fulfill that than it is to promise and not fulfill it. Now, it's also important to know that people need to be able to trust you. People need to be able to know that you're a person of your word, that if you say you're going to be somewhere, you're going to be somewhere, that if you're going to do something, that you're going to do something. See, it's just honesty is such a large range, and we tend to bring it down into the behavioral part of honesty. And that's important. And people need to know that you're not going to rob them, that you're not going to steal from them, that you're not going to take what doesn't belong to you. But even more, people need to understand that you can be depended on, you can be trusted. You're someone who they can rely on. And when you can build that kind of trust in people, that they know that whether they agree with you or not, that you're a person of your word, that you're going to fulfill the things that you say that you're going to fulfill, then you give people an assurance. You give them a comfort level that we all long for. We want people who we can trust. I would rather have somebody who I may not totally agree with, but I know when they say something that they mean it and that they're going to fulfill it than somebody who I think I agree with, who is no good at their word, who is not going to do the things that they've promised that they were going to do. Be a person of honesty. Be a person who others can depend on. That is truly a success-minded person. For the Growth Center, this is John Patrick Hickey, and I do want to encourage you to pursue your purpose and change your world.